Hi, I'm Nico and welcome to my channel. For today's video, we are going to talk about panel line scribing. You might have guessed that this is my favorite topic to talk about by the amount of videos I have about it. And you're right. But looking at all those videos, I realize I've never made one that's really made for beginners. Except for a 1-minute video where I don't even speak. So today, I'm gonna try to share with you all how to start scribing your Gunpla. I know a lot of you guys wants to try scribing, but you also don't want to spend so much money on the tools, especially at first when you don't even know if you're gonna like it. So for today's video, I'm not gonna use any of my SAB panel liners or even my display chisels. Instead, I'm going to use this $7 scriber, which means that all the lines we're gonna scribe today is just gonna be 0.2 millimeters. As for the guide tapes, this is something that you should really invest in. And I don't want to compromise by saying you can just use Dymo tape, because one roll of guide tape is pretty cheap and can last you a long time. So just go ahead and buy one. And don't be stingy and don't reuse the tape. After using it, just throw it away and use a new one. But sometimes, if the tape is really sticky, you can use it one more time and then that's it. The part that we are going to scribe on today is this shield that, if I'm not mistaken, is from a high-grade full armor Gundam. For beginners, I would suggest practicing on a kit with a lot of white parts, like an RX-78-2. Because it's easier to scribe on white plastic. I'm not sure why, but it's just softer in a way, unlike red and blue plastic, which is more brittle and hard. So scribing on those can be harder for beginners. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to scribe on this red part, so it's easier to see the result on camera. So the first thing that I like to do is slightly sand the area I'm working on with an 800 grit. So that when I draw the design with the pencil, it will stick on better due to the roughness of the surface area. I like to use a mechanical pencil because a regular one can be too big and it's harder to draw your design accurately, unless you sharpen it enough so it's thinner and pointier. At that point, it's better to just use a mechanical pencil. So first, I like to re-scribe the existing panel lines. Just deepen those out so it matches the panel lines we're going to add later on. And once those are deep enough, we can then see what we want to add and where. The scriber that we are using is a 0.2 millimeter. So some people don't like using it for high-grade kits. They think it's too big, but personally, I think it still works. Because of the size of the scriber, the panel lines we're adding using it will look like armor separation. It gives off the illusion that the piece is made up of more parts when it's really not. So for me, a 0.2 scriber works just as well on a high-grade kit, just like on a master grade. Whenever you're scribing, just do light passes at first, and one line at a time. And if you don't know how light the pressure should be, grab your mechanical pencil, push out the tip until it's 4 to 5 millimeters, and then use that to practice scribing. If the tip breaks, then you're using too much pressure. So now that we have re-scribed the lines, it's time to put some more. This shield is a bit tricky to design just because it's so small, so you have limited space, and due to the shape as well. But we're gonna follow the 3 lines rule, meaning we're gonna start with 3 lines, and you can never really go wrong with this as long as you avoid 90-degree corners, and corners less than 45 degrees. Simply because it looks weird. So designing panel lines is basically like making a tree. You first start with the trunk, which is the 3 lines. That's the basic, and then you simply add some branches, meaning you add some more lines or notches or even drill some holes, which makes it more detailed. And that's it. You just do it a couple more times until you're satisfied with the design, and then you're done. Whenever I design panel lines, even though I like to over-detail it sometimes, I always keep in mind that I will add decals later on, so I leave spaces for those. Now now that we're done sketching, it's time to scribe. So get your guide tape, and it doesn't really matter the size, but I like to use a 3mm guide tape. Just place it down slightly to the side of the line so that your scriber will be exactly on top of the line you just drew. And once all of the tapes are in place, make sure to firmly press them down. You don't want it to suddenly move while you're scribing. So get your scriber and then just slightly pass it along one line at a time, especially on the first 3 to 5 passes. You don't want to apply any pressure at all. If your scriber is sharp enough, it will do its job for you. So just continue lightly scribing until you're done with the design. And once you feel that the grooves or lines are deep enough, you can remove the tapes and then scribe over the line again. This time though, you can scribe it in one go. Just make sure to turn your scriber when you're passing the corners to avoid it from getting rounded. After scribing, lightly sand the area and then see if you need to fix mistakes or deepen the line some more. Once you're done, you can copy the design to the other side or move on to a different piece. And one last thing before we go, I don't really recommend the scriber that we just used because it's actually harder to scribe with it. I couldn't really find a good enough grip around the scriber, which made me slower and made my panel lines a bit ugly. But it's good for re-scribing existing panel lines, so it does have its uses. But, for making your own panel lines, I do suggest grabbing yourself actual scriber sets or chisels. And that's it for today's video. I hope you found this useful, and if you liked it, then do subscribe to the channel for more. And I also have a playlist full of videos all about panel line scribing, so you can go check that out right after this video. Thanks for watching!